Marketing Edge on TV is Nigeria's leading initiative in the business of brand management and in the management of brand business. It is a 30-minute awesome package that comprises brand news, branding focus, and industry conversation, all in a mix, encompassing thorough and in-depth analysis aimed at promoting the brand idea. My name is Bababumi Agbibi. Welcome to the program.
Marketing Edge on TV, promoting the brand idea.
We begin with brand news, where we bring you the latest developments around brands and in the field of marketing and advertising in Nigeria and around the world. Sprite is back with a fresh global identity and the return of its iconic lemon symbol. The world's favorite lemon lime drink is blending bold visuals, new sounds, and street culture to reconnect with fans everywhere. The refreshed design merges the lemon with the Sprite wordmark, while vertical cans and brighter green and white colors make the brand pop on shelves and online. Alongside the look, Sprite introduces the Sprite sound, crafted with producer mustard, making every sip feel as energizing as the first taste. Nigeria's video streaming market is booming, growing from $0.37 billion in 2024 to an estimated $0.88 billion by 2033. It is expected to expand at a strong 10% annual rate. While subscription streaming leads today, deep market insights reports show that transactional services are surging fastest, offering new opportunities for consumers and brands alike. In the same vein, mobile, smart TVs, and PCs are driving access as Nigerians increasingly turn to digital screens for entertainment. For the first time, Advan has introduced an international judging panel. So, this time, experts from Bank of Africa, South Africa's Marketing Association, and Revelator Research join the process, and their goal is to strengthen transparency and align recognition with global standards. At the same time, local judges from academia and industry are also included to ensure decisions reflect Nigeria's marketing realities. Over the years, Advent Awards have continued to highlight top campaigns and celebrate marketing leadership across the country. That was brand news. Next is branding focus after this break.
Marketing Edge on TV, promoting the brand idea.
Now, brand in focus. Nigerian consumer behavior in 2026 is changing fast, and brands must adapt quickly. Already, traditional sales playbooks from 2024 are delivering fewer results as inflation bites, credit tightens, and spending habits shift. Consequently, FMCG companies report falling purchase volumes even as revenues hold steady. Meanwhile, premium products linger on shelves as consumers trade down to value alternatives. At the same time, digital lenders face stricter regulations, cutting off easy credits that once fueled discretionary spending. As a result, shoppers delay buying electronics, furniture, and non-essential items, while smaller pack sizes and unit purchases surge. Moreover, traditional retail and neighborhood shops remain resilient, offering flexible payments, credit, and convenience that e-commerce can't match. Furthermore, social commerce is bridging the gap, blending online reach with personal connection. Importantly, purchase decisions now hinge on immediate value, peer recommendations, and accessibility rather than brand prestige or aspiration. Definitely, the consumer patterns emerging in 2026 are not temporary. They are structural, shaping spending habits and expectations well into 2027 and beyond. Brands that recognize these shifts adapt pricing, distribution, and messaging now will thrive. Those that wait may discover the market has permanently moved beyond old strategies. That was branding focus. Next is Industry Conversation, where we discuss with industry thought leaders who have distinguished themselves and have made tremendous impact in their chosen field. Today, my guest is the Chief Executive Officer, Redlantan Media Company, Deji Onadeko. Join us after this break.
Marketing Edge on TV, promoting the bright idea.
On Industry Conversation today, my guest is the Chief Executive Officer, Redlantan Media Company, Deji Onadeko. Hi, welcome. Nice to have you with us.
Thank you very much. Absolute pleasure.
Good. How would you describe the transformation of Nigerian media space over the years?
I mean, I think, to be very honest, it's been a very beautiful experience seeing what the industry has become over the last few years. I think fair to say that first, the industry is very young. I mean, people don't realize how young, almost every industry in Nigeria is, right? Especially industries that, came alongside civilization, right? That came alongside, a community evolving, to become its own self, right? So, I think over the last few years, what we've seen, of course, it's moving from, TV being available to the elites to them being available to everybody. And then finally we were let in, on the internet world. And the good thing about Nigerians is whenever we find good things, we know how to stay on it and take advantage of it. And, over the years, we've also seen so many individuals in different ways then become such huge personalities in the space. So we've had, we've moved from when the industry, the big entities of the industries were, companies, were organizations, to now when it is also now becoming individuals, becoming communities that are gaining that strength. So I mean, to describe it in a couple of words would mean that, it is young, yet it is fast, it is intentional. It is plagued with a couple of obstacles, just, for the fact of how several other things around being Nigerian or being West African or being African affected. But, the progress has really been interesting, really, to say the very least. It has also moved from being something that, was important out of necessity, out of information, to also, helping people earn. Now, people are building life around it, building careers around it. So it's been a very interesting evolution, to say the least.
How has the rise in digital platforms changed the way traditional media organizations operate now in Nigeria?
Yeah, I mean, with traditional media, the media houses call it the short, right? Digital media helped democratize, which is very interesting, helped democratize, content, information, TV, media generally, right? So, and then it moved from, the determinant of what goes on TV or what goes into the air, from it being who has the most money to it being what the audience wants, right? So what has happened right now is digital media has helped media generally become audience-centric, not budget-centric. People are not going to just watch Papa Jasco because that's what's available to see at 8 p.m. every evening now. People are not just going to watch Superstory because that's what's available. Because that's when they sit in their houses by 8 p.m., and the TV comes up, that's all they have available to them now. They could pop up their TV, they could go on Netflix, they could check YouTube, there's an option, meaning that if your content, if your project, if your media content is not centric to the audience, if it does not appeal to the audience, you're not going to have the attention. And I think that's one of the biggest evolutions that we've seen. We've also seen, I'm quite trying to be careful not to jump into other questions you might ask, but we've also seen companies, have to, digital media is no longer permitted to just be an ordinary add-on now. If it's not the core of your business, no matter how important traditional media is, which I'm sure we'll still touch base on, you would, not be able to hold ground, right? I like to relate it to what AI has become, right? Where, people say, oh my God, AI will take your job. Not really, but those who use AI will take your job. So what has become with digital media is, especially because of how young our industry is, traditional media might not be going anywhere, but if you do not incorporate digital media, those who will take your job. It's really that simple.
So you said traditional media might not be going anywhere, but how certain are we that this evolution of digital media won't kill someday traditional media?
Someday maybe, but within Nigeria, within Africa, someday could be as much as 50 years, it could be as much as 100 years, because we are not very rich in Nigeria. We are, the per capita income is not so high. People still need mass media. People still need free-to-air TV. people still need terrestrial TV. Not everybody, like we underestimate how much not everybody can afford an internet phone. You know, we stay in Lagos and it seems like everybody you see, you know, uses WhatsApp, but like the percentage ratio to those who don't is ridiculous, right? So that's when people say that, oh my God, the Nigerian market is big. I hear you, but like the buying market as big. You get what I mean? So people will still need what traditional media has to offer, right? Especially for the mass media, right? And they will need it for a long time. Radio is not, it will take a while for me to be driving on my car. I'm a radio head, right? Like, so, I mean, I started my career on radio, but I've also really gotten used to listening to radio a lot of times, right? So when I'm driving, especially when the talk is becoming too much. I mean, when I don't feel like the music, I want to listen to radio. It will take a while for that to really migrate away from that. And that's me that even has access to, you know, to the gadgets, to the Spotify, to the whatever. So I do think that, you know, digital media will make it harder, would give traditional media a run for their money, but it will take a while to truly, totally, elevate them. Maybe to be earlier for Western worlds, but within Africa, within Nigeria specifically, now traditional media is going to be around for a little while.
So video has become a major content format globally. How do you see Nigeria adapting to this?
Oh, I mean, you know how we are. Like, we've really adapted in very beautiful ways, to say the very least. And, you know, the reason why it has become globally, you know, informing is because video is the one platform, is the one content that takes advantage of every single one of your senses. The only sense it doesn't take advantage of course, is your smell. You know, but you can take advantage of a feel, you know, even how you, like maybe having goosebumps, even though we have people who are doing cinemas, 5D cinemas now, that when you're watching, your smell is taken, you know, your eye, everything is being engaged. But that aside, what has happened then, you know, over the last few years is that people have adjusted to understand that, you know, what you see is very important, right? It's such a big deal. Like it has an avenue to be more impactful than what you just hear, right? And then you have quickly seen Nigerians quickly adopt, right? Like I said, it has democratized. Digital media has first democratized it. Don't forget, right, that video could have taken over earlier, but creating video was a lot more expensive, right? You needed your cameras, you needed your gadgets, you needed an editor, but now just pop out your phone, right? You know, and over the years, you've seen the quality of the camera on these phones, you know, go up, whereby you can almost shoot a full movie on an iPhone. You know, from even back in the day, people were even pulling off shooting a movie on an iPhone 6, because of now that the iPhone 17 camera quality is ridiculous. So what I think has evolved is Nigerians have adjusted to tell their stories visually as well, and you can see it increase in the quality of what we see. You've seen it increase in the quality of the cameras that we use. You've seen it increase in the quality of color gradings that we do. You've seen it increase in the quality of hooks that we put out, whether it's on social media, whether it's in the movies that we're making. You've seen it increase over all of that, you know. And at the end of the day, what that has become is that we're able to then finally, you know, align with what is globally, you know, required of us. And, you know, needless to say, you know, I'm very digital media centric, right? Despite that there are a lot of traditional media things that, you know, we do at the firm at Redlantan nonetheless, but like digital media centric then says how we're experiencing people, the quality of what people are doing, editing videos. You know, we have big video editing platforms like the Adobes, like the, you know, Adobe's, the Photoshops, finding ways to get Nigerian creators to create what they are creating to help them sell their product. Like a market has opened up here for us, you know, and there's also, I mean, there's several angles to it. There's also the vertical video evolution that we're seeing, where, you know, people are making full-blown movies for just a phone, you know. So we've now seen video not just evolve to the mass public. We're seeing how it is being distributed massively evolved, how it is being viewed massively involved. We're seeing it being adopted fully, properly, you know, to be on the go, for me to be able to pop up my phone, right, and just watch it. And I think it's really beautiful. Nigerians are always very good, very quick to adopt these things, take advantage of it to the best of their abilities, use it to sell their product, you know, and then adopt it to the storytelling that is needed per time.
So media production is capital intensive. Now let's
Did you say movie?
Media production,
Yeah.
It's capital intensive. So let's talk economy now. With inflation, foreign exchange, Now, how are media organizations coping with the fluctuations, especially when it has to do with importation of equipment?
I mean, it's been one of the hardest parts of things, to say the very least, right? The instability, general instability of any economy, right, affects any industry, right? Especially ours, where we're literally on the receiving end of it, right? Because we're also quite likely, if you're creating content, if you're running a firm like mine, you're quite likely telling those stories, working with those clients within the country. So first and foremost, you're not quite likely earning FX. Some of us have gone to the point where we are, but that's not going to happen right immediately. Right. So I do think that what that has done, of course, it has made the bar of entry into owning an agency is not so high. You know what? You're creative. You can write. You can get it together. But bar of entry for growth, massive growth, because now you need to own the equipment. If you can't afford to own it, you have to rent it. It costs a lot of money to rent it per day, right? I mean, what we've been able to do is to, make sure that there's a balanced strategy between, acquisition and partnerships, acquisitions and collaborations, right? Across different sectors of the same industry, to make sure that it helps us make up, for some of these possible downsides. We're also very intentional with making sure that whatever equipment is acquired, we're able to maintain it and find ways to, increase revenue on each of it, right? So I do understand, and one of the things that I hope that the industry gets into is where agencies, brand companies are able to get proper investment into them, like it is in the US. In the US, people are buying agencies from agency founders like they were buying bread, right? Because the industry it's a lot more concrete, it's a lot more dependable, right? But in Nigeria, there's a lot of factors that are not as consistent, and it's those instabilities that go on to sort of like mess the entire process up. But like, if I were to just quickly answer that question by giving an advice to someone who's starting off to say, oh my God, this stuff is expensive, and all of that, I think you have to begin to think collaboration, right? And what a person has is the equipment, what a person has is the content, what a person, if you come together, it reduces the overhead cost of what they're trying to achieve, and then even potentially increases the possibility of what they're trying to achieve. I think that the way to win against this economy is to not do it alone. But we have a lot of people who want ownership, and even if they want to connect or collaborate, they want to collaborate the direction up, not amongst their peers, right? So you need to find people who are as weak as you are, so that together you are stronger. Not people with whom you don't have so much leverage to get into a conversation with them, and then, you don't really have so much to offer, and then, they're not able to extend that conversation with you. So when you think about the economic implication, it's okay. Things are bad, no doubt. I can't outrightly say things are bad, but things fluctuate, things are unstable, right? One of the ways I'll advise is first plan out strategy, long-term strategies, mid-term and short-term, on how you want to, face some of these difficulties, because first, know that people are getting it right. I mean, Redlantan is, despite all the difficulties over the last half a decade, we're able to still sustain things. But the second thing is be very open to collaboration. It's something I don't see a lot of, in our industry. Everybody wants to own everything. Everybody wants to do everything. Everybody wants to own a 360 digital. Everybody wants to do it all at once. But
and then it gets expensive.
And then it gets expensive, intense, and difficult. You get what I mean? So that's how I'll take that.
What kind of growth do you expect in the Nigerian media and entertainment space in the next 5 years?
I think we're finally going to arrive at the kind of growth that we deserve, right? I think that there's a possibility that over the last decade, we might have fallen into what might have been a bubble of growth, right? An assumption of what's possible. Right, and you had an influx, of streaming platforms, for example, and then social media platforms also gaining, entry into Nigeria. Some of them came, set up offices here, and then left. So I think that we are past the bubble, right? My quickest answer would have been to say, oh my God, the growth is going to be exponential. I'm not sure about that, but I think that one thing is sure: the growth is going to be reliable. Like, the growth we experience now will be, for real, what can stand by itself, right? The investments you're going to make now, like the circumstances you're meeting now, is what is. It's no longer a bubble of the initial public offer of what the industry had to offer us. Like, oh my God, everything's blowing. Oh my God, Facebook is what's paying now. Oh my God, YouTube is what's paying, and everybody's blah, blah, blah. I think we are past that bubble, right? And then we're finally entering the space where what is what is. Different platforms will then take their place. What traditional media is supposed to do, what print is supposed to do, what digital media is supposed to do, what social media is supposed to do, will do its part more stable, like in a more stable experience.
So do you think there'll be different parts for traditional and digital? Don't you think they would meet at a point to be the same?
I think they would always work hand in hand, but for the consumer, especially depending on how they're consuming it. But I feel like how they're consuming it would be an outright show of their, what's the word I'm looking for now, of their status in the society, right? The masses, below, all the way down below average will be focused on mass media. The average will be balanced between traditional and, digital. And digital. And then, all the way up will then be digital and premium traditional, which is where, satellite TV comes in, the DSTV subscriptions come in, and it will be mostly because of sport. And a few other things that can make it to, to digital media fully, because of streaming licenses and all that. So I do think that the growth is going to be more stable. I can't promise that it will be exponential, but I can promise stability over the next 5 years, which is not something that we've particularly had. We've always had that fluctuations. Like I said earlier, one company comes, they go, it will become a lot more stable now for the next 5 years. So what you see now will be what you get now. It will no longer be a bubble. And that increases the tendencies for investors to trust the space more, and then maybe actually arrive at the exponential growth that I'll be excited to see in the next 5 years.
Like earlier, we talked about artificial intelligence and jobs. Now, AI, we see it seems to be creating opportunities, but there's the fear of taking jobs away. Now, how do we allay those fears, or are those fears valid?
I mean, if you're afraid of it, maybe you should. Right? Maybe you've not developed enough value or understanding of the product that you should not be afraid. But the truth is, when something new comes into the space, fear cannot be your first approach. Curiosity should be your first approach. Curiosity of what does this mean for us? Right? Just leaning towards, oh my God, AI will take my job. It stresses me out when I hear that conversation. Like AI can't. Like AI might, I don't know. I think like I said earlier, AI won't take your job, in my own belief. But those who know and understand AI will take your job. It's that simple. So what anybody, an agency, company, or an individual wants to do right now is understand AI, associate with people that understand AI, and find ways to adopt AI into their processes day to day. Right? And the ends of the earth that AI, the things that AI can do for you, just on my email, the things AI is doing for me on my email, the things AI is doing for just regular paperwork, the things AI is doing for us to help us develop, mood boards these days and all of that, like it's ridiculous, right? So rather than focus on with AI, I'm not going to allay anybody's fears. I'm just going to hope on their behalf that they are curious enough to not miss out on exactly what is happening here. It's curiosity that gives you an advantage. It's curiosity that made those who blew up on social media before everybody else, blew up. It's curiosity. So rather than, and that's what I would hope that Nigerians generally can pay attention to, curious, like look for knowledge, understand what is going on here, and find ways to adopt it.
How can Nigerian media companies use tools such as AI, data analytics to improve production or even storytelling?
Yeah, I think for start, like the first thing that AI is currently properly doing right now is helping people capture and interpret data. And one of the things I noticed that we don't do very well in our storytelling space here in Nigeria is we don't use enough data to create. And that's the advantage that the Chinese and the Americans and the Westerners generally have over us. Before I create content for a market, I do extensive analysis on the data, what they are watching, why they are watching it, what's getting their attention. You get what I mean? Whether it's on local TV, whether it's on traditional media or digital media, I take a 10-minute clip before I post it. I'm doing analysis on where, at what minutes did they drop, at what minutes do people want to watch the most? Like, why did people watch this video? Why did they watch it to the end? Why didn't they watch it to the end? It's not just, I had 10 views. Those 10 views, how many of those 10 people watched it to the end? How many of them took actions? So the first thing that I would think people should pay attention to, for which we're already really strongly adopting at Redlantan, and I see how it has massively impacted our job, is to use AI to find, adopt, and analyze data. That's number one. Number two, of course, is AI in many ways elevates your creativity. It's ridiculous, right? And you don't want to be closed to that, you know. Just like when digital cameras, mirrorless cameras came to be, you know, there were photographers who kept on saying, no, if I'm not using film, you're not a photographer. There are photographers who still say that today. But those who adopted the mirrorless camera and are taking dope pictures around the world and making money, right? What I think you want to do is make sure you find the synergy. Never stop finding in what ways AI could elevate your work. It's like the calculator. I'm sure that before the calculator and the way that it was invented, it was a big deal if one could, you know, recite 2 times 2 off their head. In fact, it wasn't just a big deal, it was a necessity to get by. Because if I'm in the marketplace and you need to buy something, it was important that when you say, I'm buying 10 of this and 10 of this, I don't have to be doing like this. I could instantly, it was important. When the calculator came, you didn't need to carry that load anymore. It was no longer important that you could off your head tell you what 10 times 10 was. Just punch it in less than a millisecond, you get your answer. That's what AI has come to do. If you don't pay attention, you miss out on that. So now that the AI has come, find ways with which you can adopt it. For us at the firm, data, we use it to analyze, execute data. We use it to create pictorial evidences of what the products could be, of what projects could look like, mood boards, things like that. And then we use it to also augment our storytelling. You know, we use it to, you know, increase the quality of documentations, increase the quality of those stories that we're telling. And then I make sure amongst my editing team, amongst the graphic designers, whatever AI can help you do better. Listen, there are editing softwares. You know, I think there is a plugin now on you know, Premiere Pro, for example, that just puts your video, put everything, like put the audio, and tell AI to arrange it for you and give you multiple camera angles. Remember back in the day, we used to spend days aligning your camera on your timeline with the sound and all of that. We used to spend days to do it. With AI, you could do it in 5 minutes. If you don't pay attention to the advantage that AI is giving you, you would miss out on it, and that's when your job would be taken from you.
Thank you for having this conversation with us.
Yeah.
I've been speaking with the Chief Executive Officer of Redlantan Media Company, Deji Onadeko. We'll be having the concluding part of the conversation next time, but do remember that the conversation continues on our website at www.marketingedge.com.ng and all our social media platforms at Marketing Edge. My name is Babumi Agbibi.